Thank you very much for coming. I have to say I am really overwhelmed. You guys can make me cry, really. But thank you for coming and sharing this event with me. This is my first event, and this is my first book. But I also want to give a big thanks to Tom and Lorene Borta for opening up this beautiful place for all of us, and to have this event here is just amazing. And I also want to thank Catherine for joining us today with her specialty chocolates. These are Dove chocolates that you cannot buy in the store because they have no preservatives and fillers and all the other stuff that you buy with other chocolates, you know, off the shelf. So I just want to thank Catherine for being here and sharing this amazing chocolate product with all of you. And of course, the healthy coffee, I'm on it. I couldn't drink coffee for such a long time because of the cancer that, you know, I had. So now I have a coffee that I feel that I can drink and it's healthy for me. So, but anyway, going back to this event, this is my first book signing, and this is kind of a dream come true, you might say. This has been going on for many, many years. 22 years ago, I was going to the Art Institute here in Laguna Beach, and going for my art degree, my fine arts degree. And so I took an independent writer's class, and he said, well, just write a short story about your life. And at that particular time, I was also doing a body of work that represented this particular story of how I got here from Greece and my connection with Greece. And so I thought I'd tie that all together, do the short story, and he was very impressed, not because of my writing, because of the story. And he said, well, why don't you send some query letters out in a synopsis and see what happens? And I thought, God, I'm not really ready for that, but I thought, well, why not? I sent out 16 query letters and a synopsis of the story, and I got 8 responses of wanting to read the first 2 chapters. And I said, well, I don't have 2 chapters. What am I going to do now? So I kind of put it on the back burner. So I thought, and every time I told a little bit about the story to someone, they said, you got to write the book, you got to write the story. And then I got a contact, or I contacted someone that was in the People magazine, and she was also adopted from Greece, and she kind of told her story, how she was looking for her biological family, and it was the same program I was on. It was the same program that I was a part of. So I contacted her, and we had a long conversation, and she says, I really want to reunite everybody and, you know, try to contact everybody. And I thought, God, that's a great idea. Why don't you just keep me informed and let me know when it is? Well, she never did it. She never followed through with any of it. And she's a busy lawyer in New York, and I'm sure that she just got busy and it just got out of whack. But I started thinking, now, I'm just going to go ahead and start writing and see what happens. So I had a notebook, and I just kept writing. Every time I remember something, and something would trigger my memory, whether it was a smell or food or talking to my mom about her life. Everything I wrote down. And about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, I came down with stage 4 cancer. And then I realized that if I don't do this story, if I don't write this, it's not going to get done. And I felt more compelled to write the story. So I recovered from cancer, thank God, I recovered. And so I really made an effort to really move through. I joined a women's literary critique group, and they're all published authors, and that really helped me because they could critique my story chapter to chapter. And that gave me the confidence that I needed to continue on with the book. So the story really is a program that, the basis of the story is about a program that happened in Greece between 1955 and 1957, that they were adopting children to the United States. And it was a program that was formed by several different social networks at the time. One was actually tied into the UN, ISS, International Social Services. And they were adopting children between babies to 10 years old, no older than 10 years old. So they approached my mother. My father died when I was 5 years old, and after World War II, Greece went into civil war, and basically our little village was, we didn't have any running water and electricity, we didn't have food, we didn't have really clothing or anything. We had nothing. So when somebody approaches you and saying, you know, your daughter will have an education, she will have a wonderful life, and she will have everything that is a dream come true. And you will never lose contact with her. You will always know where she is. You can write to her, she can write to you. And so my mother thought, after a year of trying to figure out, yeah, do I want it? No, I don't want it. Yes, I want it. No, I don't want it. And I wanted to come. I was 10 years old. I just thought the only thing I knew about America was the clothes, the dresses, the chocolate bars, the candy, the dolls that walked and talked. I heard about these things and I read about them in school. So I thought, yeah, I want to go, and I will write you, I will send you presents, I will, you know, come back with lots of things for you. You know, this is a child's mind thinking. So my mother said, okay, I will, on that basis. The moment I left my mother's side, she never heard from me again. The moment I left my mother's side, I never heard from her again. And my journey is maybe a little different, probably a little different than a lot of children that were adopted. My journey took me to Los Angeles to a couple. Most of the children, and I say most of the children, were adopted into Jewish families. Reason is Queen Frederica at the time felt like she needed to compensate the Jews that were slaughtered and killed in Greece during the during the German occupation in Greece. There were, I think, maybe 2 million Jews living just in Greece alone. And so she felt like she needed to give back. So this is a program that she okayed with the American government. So I did come here to a Jewish family in Los Angeles. It was not all roses and chocolate bars and dolls that walked and talked. I didn't even see a doll. I had no dolls in my room. So my story is that journey of myself and many, many other children. I was surrounded by children on the airplane and surrounded by children after I left my mother's side, from babies to 10 years old, coming here to America. So you can imagine how traumatic it would be for a 10-year-old child. As babies, all they did was just scream, and they wanted food and water. But for me, I wanted my mother. I wanted her back. And so this is really my story about the journey. And this is also a voice, not just my voice, a voice of many children that were a part of this program that are scattered everywhere. My mission is to find as many as I can. I found my mother on my own. And I really do deeply feel that I can help others find their biological families. Since the book has been out, I found 4 people. Actually 5. One in Sacramento, 2 in Laguna Beach, 1 here in San Clemente somewhere. I've just recently contacted her, like as of 2 days ago. And a woman who was adopted. She was living here, and then she went back to Greece to live. She actually lives in Athens. She is a lawyer in Athens, and what she does is, the only thing she does is helps all those adoptees find their biological families. So I'm just extremely grateful what's happening in my life right now with the book and the story and the direction that it's going. I'm just very, very grateful. So I'm very, very grateful that you are all here. I do also want to say before I shut up, is that we have Mike here, and I want you to all talk to him if you have a moment. Mike is going to be walking he's going to be walking 3,000 miles for Get Wish Foundation. Yes. So, I mean, I myself, this is for kids. This is all for kids. This is all for children. This is a great organization, and I hope that you have a chance to talk to Mike and see what we can all do. I know that I will definitely do whatever I can to help in some ways for his organization and fundraise for his organization. So if you have any questions for me, this is a good time to just blurt it out. Sue?
Why did the program only last 2 years?
Because they found out it was an up and up. They were actually they were actually black marketing children. They were selling them, but the money was not going to the families who really needed them or any part of it. It was going into the pockets of the social workers and the lawyers. They were part of this program. So it abruptly stopped in 1957, just from 1955 to 1957. It was not a good thing. And these things are happening today. I mean, it doesn't seem to stop. It just doesn't seem to stop. They're not really thinking about the child. I mean, I am sure, and I'm here to tell you, I'm sure that a lot of these children have had wonderful, wonderful homes and lives and wonderful places and education and things that have happened. But every time I've talked to someone, they are looking for their biological families, because that is what connects them to who they are. That is the one thing that they can connect to, is who are the people that gave me birth and my culture. And it's important. I mean, Greece has a wonderful, rich culture that you want to experience. And for me, it's very, very important for me to go back as often as I can and see my family. My mother died 3 years ago, and I found my mother at 25 years old. So I've had many, many years, and we reconnected. But to the day she died, she could not talk about it without crying. She could not say anything about it or even talk to me about it. She doesn't know my whole story, and she didn't know my whole story, because that would hurt her more beyond what she was already feeling as far as the pain that she was feeling of letting me go. But I thank God that she and I were connected, and that we had many, many years, wonderful years together. And I think throughout those years we both healed quite a bit, and our families are very, very close. My sister lives in England, my brother lives in Greece, and I can tell you, my sister and I talk to each other at least 3 times a week, and my brother, and we're very, very connected and very strong family through all that has happened. And we've all suffered in some way. My brother has suffered from malnutrition and has continuous problems with his health. And but all turned out well, and I just want to thank you again for coming and sharing this time, this event, and my story today.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Can you speak just for a moment about your reunion with your mother?
Oh wow! I can. You know, it's an amazing thing that you think that, oh, just because it happened, 40 years ago or whatever. I'm just telling myself here that you won't forget. No, you do. You do remember every little moment about those things that are most precious to you, or that your heart is involved. When your heart is involved in something, you remember. And what I did was, at the time I was living in Palm Desert, and I had a salon, a hair salon, a business, and I was telling another client of mine, I said, I wrote another letter to the UNICEF organization, or another letter to Red Cross, or another letter, and she goes, write to the church, just write to the church. And 4 years after I came here, my adopted mother died, and then not long after that, he died. So after he died, I received a piece of paper. It's not a birth certificate, it's just an adoption, legal adoption paper. And on that paper, it said where I came from. It didn't make any sense to me because it wasn't what I remember, because before I left the village, they drilled it into me. You are from Pyrgos, and your mother's name is Fanny Mitropoulos, and your father's name is Michael Mitropoulos, and so they drilled it into me. So when I was looking on the map for Pyrgos, I didn't find Pyrgos at all, and this did not make any sense to me. But I thought, I have nothing to lose and most everything to gain. I'm going to sit down and write a letter to the Greek Orthodox Church and in Erissos. And I did, and within 2 weeks, I received a telegram from my mother. Wow. 2 weeks. And then letters after that. I still have the letters in the back of the book. I have printed those letters for everyone to see. And I had already purchased a ticket. I was going to Greece, to this place, before I wrote the letter. I was going there. I was a charter flight. I saved every penny I could to get there. I was going. So now I actually knew where I was going after I received her telegram. And it was a very, very emotional reunion. Very emotional reunion. So, yeah.
Joanna, were those people, any of them prosecuted that were running this?
In Greece? In Greece? Oh no, I mean, there's corruption going on in Greece right now as well as other countries. I mean,
what about the United Nations?
well, I never, I didn't want to kind of create any ripples, so I wrote to the ISS, International Social Services, and I said, I'm trying to remember what I said now. I didn't say that I'm looking for my biological family, but I said that I am so-and-so and I was adopted, and I'd like to have my records. And they did. They sent me a file of records this big. Yeah, so I have everything, what the social worker said to my new adopted mother, what they said to, to my mother. I mean, everything has been recorded. And now, for me, it's like I have my mother. I mean, I've been reunited with my family, so it's not. I don't know, it's hard to go back and say you did this and you did that and why didn't you do that and did you know about this or get a lawyer or do this. I don't really want to get involved in that sort of stressful situation.
You don't need that negativity.
No, I just want to help others find their family because it's really important. It's not going to make any difference with their wonderful families here. It's just going to give them that ability to reach out and touch their culture and learn something about where their ancestors come from, if that's what they choose. RG?
I'm sorry, I can't remember. Did you say how many children were actually?
They didn't really say. It was I don't know, maybe thousands of children. I know that the airplane I was in, that's all it was, kids. It was babies.
You were the youngest?
I was the oldest.
Oh, you were the youngest.
I was the oldest. I was actually, there was one guardian per two children.
No, I meant in your own immediate family.
Oh yeah, I was the youngest because I was actually 9 years old when they came to my mother, and 10 years old was the breaking point. That was it. They were gonna disguise my sister and get her to come in my place because she was 5 years older. But my mother, said it just wasn't right. She didn't feel it was right to do that, and not ethical to do that. My mother was a very spiritual woman, She was very, very close to God, and she prayed, and I prayed, and everybody prayed, and someday we had to meet. I just can't imagine going through my entire life and not having this opportunity. So again, it's a wonderful thing, and yes.
The people you have found, are they delighted to have been found by you and hopefully connecting them with their biological parents?
Yes, there is a woman in Sacramento that I converse all the time. I'm putting her in touch with this lawyer in Athens because this lawyer has all the archives. She's got everything. And she can help her more than I can because she's from an orphanage. And she doesn't have any other information except that she's from this orphanage in Patras in Greece. That is all she has to go on, where this lady can actually help her. There is the TV program in Greece right now that's what they're doing. They're helping, because there were so many. Not only were children adopted, but during the Greek Civil War, there were children taken, forcibly taken, abducted, taken, about 12, 13 years old. They taught them to fight, and they took them into the Civil War action, and a lot of them were displaced into Bulgaria and some of the joining countries. And there's a whole program going on right now of even these children going back to Greece and looking for their families. So it was a tragic part of history. Not only Greece had to suffer from World War II, and Greece was actually occupied by the Germans. And so they had to suffer through that, but they had to suffer again through Civil War from 1945 to 1949. And it was really brother against brother. I had it in my own family. My father and his brother were against each other. And my uncle fled to the mountains, and he was an Andarti, which is a rebel, a guerrilla force rebel. And when the war ended, he fled into Bulgaria and was not allowed back into Greece until, I don't know, was maybe, I think they allowed them to come back in 1980, I think, 1979, 1980. And so we were coffee and some fruit, and please have the opportunity to speak to Mike and talk to him about his program. And I have to tell you, I apologize because I didn't know how many books to buy for this event, and I think I'm running out. So, you know, I will have another book signing, maybe through the church. I'd like to give back to the church in some way. I really would. That's my, because, you know, I found my family through them, and it's brought me back, because here in Los Angeles, I was raised Protestant, and so I recently, with my mother reunion, I've gone back to the Greek Orthodox Church, and so anyway, so it's on Amazon if you want it right away, or you can contact me and I will get you a book. Promise. Thank you so much.